Happy Wednesday, everyone. Thank you for joining me for today's YL Fast Track call-in video. My name is April Pointer. I'm a Royal Crown Diamond with Young Living Essential Oils, and I host these calls, co-host these calls actually weekly with four other diamonds: Melissa Pepping, Danette Goodyear, and Alyssa Francis. Alyssa is a Royal Crown Diamond. Danette and Melissa are both Crown Diamonds. So we've been doing this a while. We've had a lot of experience, and about 3 years ago, we decided to team up together and just form YL Fast Track. And in that, we wanted to pour out onto Team Young Living on things that have worked for us in our businesses, or things that haven't worked for us, because you know it's different for every single person. Nobody hits diamond the same. Nobody. So lots of different ways to hit the top of the comp plan with Young Living. So today on YL Fast Track, I want to share with you guys some tips for vendor booths that you may be having, maybe you've rented a booth at a trade show or an expo. This is the fall season right now at the time of this recording, so there's lots and lots of expos and trade shows out there right now. It is like prime time for a vendor booth. So I want to kind of share with you guys some tips and tricks that work really well at vendor booths. I've asked around, I've gotten lots of advice from different successful people that have done vendor booths very successfully, and I have a lot to share. So I'm going to start off by saying that if you're looking for a place to be a vendor for your Young Living business, search Eventbrite for expos and trade shows, because they're all over Eventbrite. You can ask on Facebook, like on your Facebook status, write a post, ask if people know of one that's coming up. You can ask your Chamber of Commerce, or even maybe your neighborhood groups that you have. Lots of nonprofits, churches, meetup.com, a lot of those places like that will have expos happening. Now, convention centers, those are another good one that might have expos happening. So you can get on their website and you can look and see what expos or trade shows they have coming up at different convention centers within, driving distance of where you live. So our target demographic is really, really wide in Young Living, because it's not just health and wellness expos that we need to be hitting. I've seen people do vendor booths at garden shows, remodeling shows, gun shows, kids line clothes, even kids resale clothes shows, or not even like a show, but like a event where the kids resale events, those happen. You can set up a little booth there. Anywhere you can set up a booth. You don't have to pigeonhole yourself here. And the more you do this, the more you look, the more it's going to grow your connections, because the truth is everybody needs oils. Everybody. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is getting ready for your event, planning it, your preparation, things like that. So something you're going to want to take to your event or your booth to hand out is some printables, and this is going to be something that has your member number on it. OilRevolutionDesigns.com, they have great brochures, and you can just stick your number on those. There's some you can print out if you're a member. If you have a subscription, you can print out. It already has your name and member number on it. You can print from her website directly if you have, again, like a membership with a flyer that automatically adds your information to it. You can think about if you want to offer Cider scans or Itobi scans. You can do it for free. You can charge for them, but that's something to think about. Think about what you're going to diffuse, something that stimulates the senses, like Christmas spirit, lemongrass, peppermint. Those are all really strong oils, not together, but separately. There's just lots of different things you can think about to prepare for this, and you really need to think it out, because it's like Jim Rohn says. He says you don't get paid for the hour, you get paid for the value you bring to the hour. So every hour you spend planning is absolutely crucial in a vendor event or a vendor booth. And you really got to go into it with an attitude like everybody's coming to see you. Even though they're not, you just have to have that in your head. Like, everyone here is coming to see me. You don't want to act like you just threw it all together. You really want to go in with a good plan. Now I have a platinum on my team. Her name is Kara Cozier, and she is a master at vendor booths, you guys. Master. She has enrolled over 150 people at vendor booths, at trade shows, expos, whatever she does. She's done about 7 or so of those events in the last couple of years. She actually started a Facebook group on this. It's open to anyone. It's called Vendor Event Success with Kara Cozier, and it is open to all of Team Young Living. She is like all about the cross-line love. So I asked her about her top tips for a vendor event, and she says really that the most important thing that she thinks is that people need to do is show up with a very, very positive energy and just to be the person they want to attract, because people can feel what you're putting out there. So when you show up really positive and you're friendly and you're helpful and caring and you're just truly trying to serve others, then you're going to attract those kinds of people to you. Now, if you show up like desperate for an enrollment, you've got like a poverty mindset, or you're believing that the event is a waste of your time, then the event is going to be a waste of your time. So your attitude has got to be first and foremost going into this event. She talks about making lemonade out of lemons, and she says how a poorly attended event can actually be a blessing. And she's had a couple people of her leaders have very poorly attended events, and they were able to enroll 3 or 4 people on the spot and make friends with other vendors and have those people come to their classes. So looking for the opportunity in every situation is going to be pivotal, right? In any situation. I mean, because really all it takes is one person, one connection, one significant impact that you can have on their life, and it's going to have an impact on your business. And you never know where that person's going to come from. It could be your next vendor event, right? So I think if you show up with the right attitude, your booth can have handwritten signs with the PSK sitting there, and you're going to be more successful than the person with all the fancy banners and a crummy, poor attitude, okay? So just remember that your attitude, first and foremost, is everything at an expo. Now, the display is obviously important, but people join the person. They don't join the display. They don't join the booth, okay? Remember, they're joining you. Now, Kara has this amazing setup, this amazing display that she takes to vendor booths. And she's invested a lot of money and a lot of product and setup for her display. And we were talking about how she has loaned her display out, and people got no signups with it at all. 0 results, and couldn't even get a lead. And it's interesting because I think that is a reflection of their emotional state to have this amazing setup and not get anything from it, So your attitude matters. Secondly, your appearance matters. So you want to dress nice. You don't show up in ratty clothes. You want to be looking presentable, pleasing to the eye. Bright colors are always an eye catcher as opposed to maybe white or gray or black or even pastels. I wore my Young Living branded shirt today. Got this at the Diamond Retreat last spring. So maybe if you've been to a retreat with Young Living, wear your Young Living shirt that you got at your retreat. Or if you have one that you bought at convention or online that's Young Living branded, wear it. Okay? Now, next is about your table, your booth setup. So you want to have things at different heights, and you want to put your flashiest, your hardest core item in your top left. Well, this is your left, my right, but top left, because that's how people read. They start at the left, and their eyes are going to naturally gravitate to the left, and that's just how the eye works. It's how we should think about opening lines and anything like that. You always want to be really calculated in this and pay attention to people's eyes as they're coming to your booth. What is the first thing that they're looking at? It's probably going to be to the left, So as you're watching their eyes when they come to your booth, readjust things as needed. Something I think that's a really cool thing is to use signs that say new on them, really big and flashy new. Because you don't want to make people guess what's new. And it attracts people to come into your booth. So maybe by your vitality oils, you could have the word new. Or something that came out at convention, have the word new. The pain cream or the cough drops, But back to having things at heights, you can use small bins, Tupperware. You can take small boxes with you, maybe carry stuff in boxes with you to your event and break them down as you go home, because hopefully they'll be empty. But you can use those boxes to create height under your cloth that's on top of your table. Depth and texture and color are really huge into, they're really big in selling. So you want to attract people with those things. So bringing height to your table, putting boxes, and then covering them with a nice tablecloth, or you want to have your Young Living tablecloth, of course, but some other kind of fabric on top to bring some height that you can set something on to display with. If you just get on YouTube and you search how to set up a vendor booth, you're going to get some amazingly, really good visuals. So you want to have displays, a catalog, maybe an iPad with videos to watch, of course a website on it for people to sign up for a kit, or enrollment forms. You can even do flip kits where you buy PSKs and you flip them, so they'll go home with one, and then when they enroll online right there, they have it shipped to your house. You can have a raffle for a free sample if they join your list. You can use this list to invite them to a future class. You can also have them input their information directly onto an iPad so that you don't have to do that later. If you're copying stuff from paper later, it takes up time. Balloons are always a really great invitation. Like I see balloons and it's so inviting. It just makes me want to go over to them wherever I am. If I'm in the store or anywhere, an expo. Bright, bold colors for balloons are just fun, and they make people feel good, and they want more of that. Having some music at your booth would be fun. It could be upbeat. Having banners could be good. Lots of people do banners. CrownDiamondTools.com has a lot of banners. Some of the things you want to consider are if you want to sell retail there, or do you want to sign people up under you with their membership. I think the membership is the way to go personally. I've seen people do both. I think the latter is always the best route though. The focus would be trying to show people the value of the membership and collecting their contact information for inviting them to a class. Offer a prize even for a contact information, and have lots of literature on hand, those brochures I talked about from Oil Revolution Designs. I want to talk a little bit more about appearance. We talked about a Young Living shirt. Well, what about a diffuser necklace? Or a bracelet to show how you diffuse. Have a couple diffusers going on. You'll need to know if your booth has access to electricity or not, though, ahead of time. So if not, you can actually borrow or buy a solar battery that can run them for you. I've done that. And you'll also need to know about Wi-Fi accessibility for enrolling new members, whether you're doing it on an iPad or a tablet, or if you're doing enrollment forms, it doesn't matter. But you might need to use data on your phone, or you might need to tether a tablet to your phone to get data. I don't know. But anyway, the display, back to the display, it just needs to stand out. Look at the people around you, or go to some expos before you go and notice what those people are doing to make their booth stand out, okay? You want to express your personality. You want to attract a lot of people to your booth, okay? Now, during your event, always stand in front of your table. Always stand in front of your table so you can talk to people. People are very unlikely to approach your booth if you're hiding behind a table, okay? Don't hide your identity. Like, have your branding, have your personality, have it out in really good view. Something Kara talks a lot about is taking care of yourself while you are doing your booth, because it's very demanding physically. So staying hydrated, keeping the water coming, and making sure that you take breaks to eat. Now, please don't take breaks to eat in front of people, because people will turn around. They won't come in your booth if they see you eating. I do that. When I go to expos, I see them eating and I walk out. I'm like, oh, I'll catch them when they're ready, when they can talk. But if you can sneak some snacks in all day long, like some nuts, some cut up fruit with a nut butter, of course your Ningxia Red packets or nitro, just something that's easy to snack on, that's really dense in nutrition to keep you going, because again, they're very physically demanding. Something I think that is valuable is approaching other vendors, because you can make some really good connections and talk to them and find out what their best shows have been. Maybe get their tips as well. What about talking to people, two people? What if there's like so many people and there's only one of you? So if you think it's going to be a big crowd, bring somebody else. Because when you have two people at all times there, then there's always someone in the booth, especially if you need to run to the restroom or take a little lunch break. Let's see, if you expect a huge crowd or time of day that drives more people, maybe you should have more people during that time of the day, okay? Now, something when I go to expos I love to see is people being authentic and selling a product that they truly believe in. So let them hear that in your voice. Forget the pushy salesy. Do a lot of laughing, touch their shoulder, do a lot of touching, very sweet, gentle touching, of course. People connect with you and they relate to that, especially like laughing and smiling. So don't forget to smile. I know people who have when I was a waitress back in the day, I remember having people who would get no tips because they never smiled. And that taught me way back in college to always smile, because even as a waitress, you're selling something. You need a tip. So always, always be smiling, okay? Now, when if you have a lot of people at your booth and say the traffic is kind of slow, you don't want them just like standing around, okay? It's like when you pull into a car dealership and like they all approach you at once and it feels so desperate for the sale, So have them doing something. If there's a lot of people at your booth that are working it with you, have them doing something and make sure you take turns, Don't be the expert, point people to resources that are the experts. You can always say something like, I've got 2 years experience using the oils on my family. We've had really amazing results, and share what worked for your family and show people how to do their own research with books and websites. You can take a few minutes to tell people what you want to tell them, like your story, a little bit of your story, and then ask a lot of questions about them, maybe their family, what they do for a living, what they like to do for fun. You will find somewhere that oils fit into their life, and you can share the kit that would work best for them. Talking about the farms is what sets us apart from everyone else selling oils, so make sure to share that information about the farms and then figure out the best kit. Now, when I'm talking about a kit at my classes, I always start with the Aria kit and move down. It's like Kara says, it's like the Bentley of our kits. So you start with the Aria and then you move, which is, it's the highest price one we have. And as you move down and you come down to the home diffuser, that's what most people start out with anyway. So that's like a really good deal, and they'll see that. And it just works that way for me. I don't know. I think you should try it at your booth. So addressing their objections right away by answering these questions before they ask. You want to answer the question, why should I trust you? You want to answer the question, how much are they? They're going to want to know how you learned all that and what kind of training you have. So that said, again, you don't have to be the expert. Just tell them about resources that you learned from and that you go to, and the successes that you're having with your family and your friends have had as well. Now, booths can be hard since you have so little time to chat with people, and it's really important to educate in a very small amount of time, and we only have a few minutes. So plan ahead what you want to say in a few moments. Plan an elevator speech. If you're stuck in an elevator with somebody for 2 to 3 minutes, that's not even possible, but let's just say 2 to 3 minutes, what would you say to them, okay? You want to have a class set up for them to attend after the event, since you're not going to be able to give all that information at an event like that. So giving your little spiel, and then, hey, come to my class and get their information. A lot of people love samples, and people love to eat, like always love to eat. So you might want to get second visitors to your booth because you have food or an oily drink. So using something like lemon water to sample with your vitality oils, or lemon and peppermint vitality are excellent together in water, or lemon and lime. I had that at an event this weekend. It was a huge hit. Um, whatever you do, like I'm begging you, whatever you do, don't serve candy. Like don't serve sugar, any sugar, because we are about health and wellness, right? We're selling health and wellness, so we don't want to be handing out candy and sugar and things that make us sick and fat, you know? So if you're going to need to budget for this. If you want to serve food and drink, then do that. Budget for that. Will you want ice or will you want small paper cups? You know, think this through. Are you going to? Some people have done Ningxia slushies with a little blender, or they've sold lavender lemonade, like $1 a glass, to show the purity, how it's edible. And you know, technically, you're selling the lemonade and you're adding the lavender for free, since we can't actually sell the oils repackaged in any way. So find a really good recipe. Lemonade is a really popular one to do. People will always stop for a drink or a snack. What else? There is Thieves apple cider. That's always a very big hit. It's very appealing to the senses. You could do like a peppermint brownie in an organic, sugar-free, like if you use honey or coconut sugar or something like that makes it a lot more healthy than, you know, like the Duncan Hines brownie in a boxing. Like you want it to set it apart, and you're like, this is organic, this is whole foods. Yes, it has sweetener. We use honey for the sweetener or something like that, so that it sets it apart as a much healthier option than what they could just go find at the store with, you know, loaded with sugar and junk, right? You could also sample out the pain cream for people with arthritic or inflamed hands. We can say that about our pain cream. So you can ask people, you know, do your hands hurt? Do you have arthritis, or do you have inflammation in your hands or anywhere in your body? And let them try the pain cream. That's a really good one to sample. So something else you can do is make a peppermint breath spray that you can spray into their mouth, or they can spray into their mouth. Or you can even just do the peppermint test. You drop a peppermint on their hand, let them lick it off, or it's maybe dip a toothpick in it, let them taste a toothpick. It's really powerful, as you know. But just letting people try peppermint vitality in their mouth would be a really good sample, you know, to give. You can do a raffle to raffle a few oils later that day that you can mail later, or maybe a big gift basket. Or you could do bath salts or a bottle made up of Thieves cleaner. This is a really great way to collect names of people that attend a class in the future. A raffle ticket or a sign-up sheet together, just to let them, invite them to a class later on. You know, they need to know, or you need to know if they're a member already. So that's a really good way to get their information on a list. And, you know, you can say, Young Living member, yes or no, and they'll circle one. They'll know if they are, you know. Next, afterwards, is follow-up. Super pivotal for a vendor booth. But create some ways to follow up with people and make sure you get their information if they don't buy a kit that day. Like I just said with the raffles, great info to get future classes, to follow up with them for future classes, get people to write down their information. Kara does something where she's like scrambling, looking for her business card, and she tells them to just write down your information, you know, just in case just in case you use my business card as a gum wrapper, or if it becomes a gum wrapper or something like that. And she says it's really cute, it's really funny, and it works. So they laugh about it. At the end of the day, when you're home and from your vendor booth, your vendor event, you know, take a few minutes to walk around, or no, wait, not when you're home. At the end of your event, at the end of the day, maybe if you're there with other people, you could each take the last hour or two to walk around for 20 minutes or something like that, and look at other booths and see what you could change for the next day, things that attract you to their booth that maybe you could bring into yours overnight over the next 12 hours, you know? What else? Things to make your booth stand out, like I said. Even like a color scheme. You know, you can get like really intricate with things like that, especially with color schemes. And then, of course, watching your neighbors at the vendor booths with how are they driving traffic to their booth. Like, study them during the day and see what they're doing, how they're approaching people. Is it winning them over, or is it pushing them away? That's something to learn from them on, you know. Let's see. Another thing you need to do when you are done with your vendor event is to take care of yourself. And especially if you have days coming up where your booth is going to continue on for the next few days. You guys, vendor events, expos, trade shows are very demanding emotionally. If you're an introvert, that means it sucks the life out of you. Like other people suck the energy out of you. It just makes you so tired. Or when you're listening to other people tell their stories, you take on their stuff sometimes. You know, you just take on other people's things. And by the end of the day, you're just so mentally and emotionally drained because maybe you didn't realize that you take on other people's stuff, or you didn't prepare to kind of set a boundary a little bit around yourself, like how much you're going to let in and be affected by. But it is an emotional event, and talking to everybody, you know, so, you know, you might want to wear like some white angelica, some oils and things to just protect your own body's frequency, to protect your own attitude, you know. And then when you get home, really taking care of yourself physically, like taking a really long bath in Epsom salts is very healing. It's very nourishing. I know when I go to convention, at the end of every day, I am whipped. I am like beat to a pulp. And yes, I walked around a lot, but I did so much talking and just hugging and taking on everybody's excitement, you know, and it's draining. And so even when I go to convention, I will do bath salts for my feet, and I can just even run back to the hotel at lunchtime and just take 30 minutes and soak my feet for 30 minutes. And it's very invigorating. It's a great way to recharge. Aromaseas is a popular end of day bath soak if you put it in Epsom salts. Lavender is another one. Stress Away is a really good one. Sacred Mountain, very popular to just soak and you know, take in the minerals of the Epsom salts. Your body, your skin will absorb that. Now, what else? I think that's really it. I'm not like I don't do vendor events on a regular basis, but I have a lot of team members that do. So I really just kind of captured their information and put it into a class for you, or a video for you guys. One thing that I have one of my leaders does is she will host these little bitty micro education classes, little micro classes, and they're held like every 20 minutes or every 30 minutes or every hour on the hour. And she'll tell people, oh, I'm going to be talking about digestion at 2 o'clock, which is in like 15 minutes. So if you want to stick around, I'm just going to talk about it for maybe 5 or 6 minutes. And you can hold these little micro classes at your booth on a topic of your choice. So something that would be really popular, I think, would be like brain health, digestion, emotional health, something like that. Maybe weight management, since we're getting into the holidays, or just immune boosting during the holiday season, because, you know, the more sugar we eat, the more our immunity goes down. So if we can use our oils to help support our immune systems, that's important. So having people host with you in a booth would be beneficial if you wanted to host these little mini classes. But it's a great way to get people at your booth, to really give them a good tidbit of education, and maybe to have them come back to your booth if it's not time for the class, you know, just like the food, you bring them back with a education. Now, I did a little searching on YouTube for what to do at a vendor event for my call right now, and there was a really good one I found, and I'm just going to tell you some of the things she said. She talked about do's and don'ts. And this was not a Young Living lady. This was a lady that does home and garden shows. Like, you can watch all these other ones and learn so much. So the first thing she said was, and I said this earlier, but I'm going to say it again, is to use signs that say new on them. Pretty font, bold color, place it next to something that's new. I'm telling you guys, people flock to that. In fact, that'll be the first thing that they walk up to in your booth. So make sure it's on the left side, like we talked about, how the eyes gravitate to the left automatically because that's how people read. So you don't want to make people guess what's new. Just tell them what's new, you know? It said number 2 was make it easy for people to see your selection and don't crowd your booth with excessive everything and overcrowding. Number 3 was talk to people, even if they even like look at your booth, you know, welcome them into your booth. Introduce yourself immediately. Like, don't be bashful. Do be confident. Do be inspiring. Don't be pushy and obnoxious. You know, you can say really friendly things like, oh, welcome to our booth. You know, how are you enjoying the show? What have you seen? What's bringing you in here today? Something like that. But you want to be, welcoming to them. Assume they could be your biggest customer ever, your biggest new member, your next business builder. You know, don't look down on them if they say, oh, well, you know, I'm already using this other oil company, or, you know, I'm from this little bitty town or whatever. You know, don't just like write them off because of that, because that doesn't even matter. You know, it doesn't matter. Trust people. The number 6 thing she said was to trust that people will take handouts if they're interested in them. And don't make people beg for literature or information. Some people, and I've been to vendor booths where I asked for a catalog and they're like, are you wanting to, you know, like do the business side of this, or, you know, are you wanting to become some kind of a distributor for this? And I'm like, no, I just want to take a catalog. And they're like, well, these are expensive. Well, then why do you have them? You know, so I don't like having to beg for information. So just have your handouts ready to give somebody if they want information, okay? The number 7 thing of the do's and don'ts was acknowledge people and tell them you'll be with them as soon as you can if you're already with someone. You know, I'll be with you in just a moment. The don't was don't ignore people if you're with someone else, okay? If with another person, don't ignore them. Just, hey, I'll be with you in just a second. Like, acknowledge them, make some eye contact with them, something like that. Number 8 was do have a sign out that says out to lunch. We'll be back at specified time. And don't eat at your booth. And I already talked about that. Don't ever eat in front of people. The reason for that is they don't want to interrupt your meal, you know, or they're going to think you're unavailable to talk because your mouth's full of food, right? And it's true. You're not available. You're eating. So you don't want to eat at your booth in front of people. That's like vendor booth 101. Like, you don't eat at your booth. You can always tell who the novices are, I think, when you're walking around and they're like stuffing their faces and they're wondering why nobody's stopping at their booth. You know, you just don't do it, okay? If you ever thought about doing, don't do it. Now, I think I told you guys about Kara earlier, about how she's enrolled about 150 people. And it's amazing. I've learned a lot from her. She has that great Facebook group I mentioned earlier. And I highly suggest becoming a member of it if you want to learn more about doing a vendor booth. She did a really fantastic webinar, actually. It's about an hour long, and it's top tips to get you started and make your booth a success. It's on YouTube. I think you can just search Life Sanity or Kara Cozier, Cozier, and you'll find her on YouTube. You'll find that webinar. It's really good. And then the Facebook group I talked about earlier. So tablecloths are always a great thing to have. I don't know anyone anymore that sells a Young Living logo tablecloth for sale. KRE Publishing is currently selling all of theirs out. So at the time of this recording, October 18th, 2016, they are in the final days of selling those tablecloths. You could probably always have one made just for yourself with the logo on it. You just can't sell it. You can't make a profit on it. You know what I mean? We have access to the logo. As long as it says Young Living Independent Distributor, you should be fine. You just can't sell it, okay? I just want to be very clear with that, because we can't sell anything with a Young Living logo legally unless you have a license with Young Living. And I think they only have a license with 2 to 3 people, and they get a portion of those profits. So again, if you make something for yourself, it's totally fine. If you're selling it and making a profit on it, it's not, okay? So if you can't find a tablecloth, you could always get one made yourself and not sell it for profit, okay? So I think that's it for you guys. For me, you guys, I got a lot of information from my team members that do vendor booths. I got some information from YouTube. Again, just get on YouTube, how to host a successful vendor event. That's all you have to look at. And the visuals are fantastic on there. So I hope this is helpful for you guys. We are in like the boom season of vendor booths and expos and trade shows, being the fall, right before Christmas. Please don't think you have to do this at a health and wellness expo. You don't. Oils fit almost every kind of trade show out there. I'm telling you, you could find a demographic, a market for pretty much any trade show out there with the broad spectrum of Young Living products that we have, because we have over 500 products. Crazy, right? So thanks you guys for joining me. I will see you next month on YL Fast Track. Please let your team know about our Facebook page. YL Fast Track is what it's called. We post videos and calls on here weekly to help you guys build your business and grow and rank up. We are super excited to empower you guys. So great free resource. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.